My name is Gustavo Santaolalla. Music has always been more than sound for me. It's been a path, a way to travel across the landscapes of the soul. My music draws breath from the places I've walked, the people I've met, and the instruments that have become part of my life. A sonic universe that tells stories through songs, through films, through games. And then there is the Ronroco. This small, powerful instrument has been my companion for decades. But more than that, the Ronroco speaks in ways I cannot. It's not just strings and wood. It's a vessel, a bridge, a voice that has often said what my soul felt before I could name it. It's an instrument that opens doors, internal, ancestral, cosmic. When we set out to capture its spirit, it was about translating its soul. I wanted others to be able to feel, even if just for a moment, what I feel when I play it. The connection, the reverence, the alchemy. With Spitfire Audio, what we've brought to life is more than a virtual instrument. It's a portal. It brings the true voice of the Ronroco to your fingertips, inviting you into the emotional worlds I've explored in scores like The Last of Us, Babel, The Motorcycle Diaries, and beyond. I hope it becomes part of your own journey, sparking your imagination and guiding you to places both unexpected and deeply familiar.
Hi everybody, Mike Georgiades here at Spitfire Audio HQ. If you don't know me, I'm a composer and a guitarist, and I create guitar-based sample libraries, such as my MG soft acoustic guitar and soft nylon guitar. But today, I'm so happy and proud to introduce to you Ronroco by Gustavo Santaolalla. This is a faithful recreation of Gustavo's very own Ronroco, recorded in depth at his studio in LA. Every note, every nuance, performed by the man himself. Gustavo, I'm sure, needs no introduction, but he is a legendary multi-award-winning composer and producer and performer, known for his scores for The Last of Us video game series and TV series, Series 2 just released, and films such as Brokeback Mountain, Motorcycle Diaries, Babel, and many others. And at the heart of Gustavo's unique sounds is his deep relationship with the Ronroco. This is a beautiful Bolivian mandolin-type instrument, which, related to its smaller cousin, the charango, was always used as a percussive folk accompaniment-type instrument. But Gustavo really brought the Ronroco to the world in a new light through his modern cinematic approach, his delicate arpeggio playing, and his memorable themes. And a couple of features of it. Now you see that it's not in pitch order by tradition. So this is the traditional Argentinian tuning that Gustavo uses. That's what we captured. Now a feature is that the strings are very close together in pitch. So they're all within one octave. So it's very easy to get these kind of lovely, beautiful, cyclical arpeggios. So it just sounds beautiful. It just hypnotizes you, and I've spent many hours playing through this stuff. So another key point with the Ronroco is that one of the strings is different from the others. You can see this middle string is an octave string. You can hear two strings an octave apart. So it just needs special consideration, really. You could use it as a melody instrument, or it can blend in. You can hear it there. It sounds lovely blended in with all the others as well. And obviously the non-linear nature of the instrument, it was a challenge for me how to get this into contact, into obviously the very linear keyboard setup. So let me take you through the instrument itself in Contact, and I will show you how I did it. Right, so here we are, Ronroco by Gustavo Santaolalla. And you can see it's a lovely GUI. Thanks very much to Nuria and the team for that Spitfire. And what we have is 4 pages. We have Perform, Sequencer, Calibrate, and Effects. And if you've seen my soft acoustic guitar, you'll see that it's very similar from the outset. So we're here on the perform page, and this deals with a standard MIDI input. So if I just play the purple key range, so as you saw, the notes appeared on the fretboard above, and you can see the octave string setup in the middle. So this is the traditional string setup. We also offer the pitch setup, which I'll get onto later. But you can see straight from the outset, it's very easy to get authentic, lovely Ronroco sounds, because what's happening is, if I just show you, if I play say an E, it will choose the string and then it will play the same note on the same place. But if I hold down the sustain pedal or choose notes from the sustain menu, so it will automatically sustain, it starts to cycle through the strings. So what it's doing is it's choosing the most appropriate string that's available. And this is a key feature, as I think I showed you on the Ronroco itself, that you cycle through the strings, sometimes with the same notes. So you can see straight from the off, the instrument is offering a great way to get realistic sounding Ronroco with these characteristic cyclical arpeggios. So if you'd like to be more specific about the strings you're using, you can use these red key switches on the left-hand side, and that helps you select the string. So I select the one on the right-hand side, that would be the first string, and then I play a note, say the E. And then I select the next one, it will choose the next string. So that's a way of being more selective with a bit more control. So as mentioned, the octave string is sitting in the middle of the fretboard, and we can have this on auto here with the octave string menu. And what it will do is it will pick the octave string when it deems it playable. Blends in really nicely. So you can have more control with this if you put it on manual, and then now it won't play the octave string unless I hold down this new key switch that's appeared, which is that red key switch here. And you see the note range shortens, and now it will only play octave string. So you could do something like that with having that as the melody note. So now we're going to look at the various articulations that Gustavo recorded. And here is the orangey beige section of articulation keys. We're going to look at this first F key here, and this is the pre-note slide. So it's a kind of a flicky slide. If I hold this down and then play a note in the purple key range, you can hear some lovely flicky slides. And next to that, we have vibrato. And this is Gustavo's vibrato. You really hear the kind of rubbing of the fretboard and things like that. So it's a very lovely human vibrato. If you'd like something a bit more uniform, what I do offer as well is with the mod wheel, we can play a note, fade in, you can hear that vibrato. And it's quite subtle, and you've got the added advantage that you can fade it in and out. So there's two options there for you. So next to the vibrato switch, we have Twiddles, two twiddle switches. One is half-step twiddles. So if I hold this A note down and play, you can see that's half a step. And next to that, whole steps. Aside from that, we have slide from keys. So these are the two slightly darker keys to the left. And first of all, we have slide down. If I press down softly and then play a note, I get a slow slide. If I press the key hard and then play a note, I get a slightly quicker slide. And with this one, we have slide up, again, slow, quick. Aside from that, we have slurs, which are overlapping notes, again, just the same as my guitars. And you could just play this really naturally. Okay, so let's move over to the controls on the left-hand side. And this deals with the chord, arpeggio, string playing. And what we have is straight away these yellow keys. We have a forward strum on the left, backward strum on the right. And these two knobs really tailor how the strum will sound. So the strum speed, as with soft acoustic guitar, you can control this via the mod wheel. Really human kind of stuff going on, very natural. Humanize this, again, if I turn this all the way up and the strum speed up, it's very staggered. It's uniform. So it just varies the timing between each string on the strum. But also there's blocks in the middle, which is the black key in the middle there. And now, if I talk about the chord system here, again, as with my guitars, if you hold down this orange key switch here, we can set the chord with the purple key range. You see the purple key range is shortened. That's the root key range for the chords on offer in auto mode. So this is what we're in at the moment, auto mode. Any chord I press, so say a D minor, I can put any triad down and it will produce, as you can see on the neck, an authentically voiced Ronroco chord. And I could hold down the set key again, go to a C. And these blue key switches split up the strings. Because we're in traditional string order, they're not in pitch order. And this is where you can really get that kind of lovely getting lost in not knowing what the hell you're playing kind of thing. So I'm just playing random, and then I can add some sort of purple notes. And you might have noticed I did a auto twiddle then. What I did is I played a hard note, and because auto twiddles is on here in this menu, you can set the twiddle sensitivity. So this side of things you have to play the notes very hard. This, I could play a very soft note and it would play the twiddle. So you probably want it about here. Whatever chord I set, so say if I play, say a D minor chord. So if I do some twiddles, it follows the scale. So if I play a D major chord, this is a really useful thing for just quickly setting the chord that you want, the key basically that you want, and then you could just sort of play away. You can see how natural that makes it to play some twiddles. Just use this sort of left-hand side area. You can actually set the purple keys to chord mode, and now the keys won't play themselves, but they'll set the chord without having to use that key switch. So it makes it much easier. So you can see that just makes it much easier to change chords on the fly. As with soft acoustic guitar, you have auto chords supporting all majors, minors, sevenths, that's dominant sevenths, major sevenths, minor sevenths, minor major sevenths, and sus2s and sus4s. So say a C sus4, D minor 7. Just got these beautiful, authentically voiced seventh chords. Now, if you'd like anything further than that, or your own voicings, you probably want to switch this to manual. And here, just to explain and to show what it does, if I just press and hold C, D, E, F, G, and then I press the strum keys, it's going to strum C, D, E, F, and G, the notes, and it's going to play them and hold them on the blue keys. And then I change it to, A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to auto chord mode, and let's talk about the final section in this page. That's the tremolo section in the middle. This deals with all majors and minors. If you like some lovely tremolo, I can hold down this E key, this sort of beigey key here, and whatever triad I put down, major or minor, and I can control the intensity with the mod wheel. And also I can set the attack and release if it's set to fade in. But if I put this in chord, start with the chord, start with a nice little flourish. But it won't do it if I then hold the key, press a new chord in the purple area. It will only start with the chord if I start the tremolo key itself. So there we have it. I hope you agree this page offers so many lovely ways to express the Ronroco. And before I move on to these sequencer page, I'm just going to go into the Calibrate page. So let's talk about this trad versus pitch order. So you can see we've been in trad, traditional non-pitch order. If I go into pitch order, people might well prefer this. You can see now the octave string, the lowest string is at the bottom. And if I just press the chord selection key, I will now play the blue keys, and they're the open strings. You can see they're in pitch order, and whatever chord I select, say a C major chord, they're in order. Sometimes they're unison on each string, depending on the voicing offered by the Ronroco. And also, if I go into manual chord mode, then if I play D, E, F, G, A, it's in nice and order. And so people might prefer that from a logical point of view. So we're going to stay in pitch order for now. And just looking at the mod wheel options below, this affects the behavior of the mod wheel. Auto is to control the strums and the modeled vibrato, or you could set it for just strums and vibrato, depending on if you've got something focused more on strums and you want to not interfere with the strum speed, or vice versa. Below that we have, on the left, pedal up and fret noise. Now this is a very important aspect. I don't know if you noticed earlier, but when I was playing, noodling around, you could hear in between each kind of chord change I did, there was a squeak and a shift. And so what I do, when I release the pedal key, as with my other guitars, it produces just a lovely random squeak or shift. And this is so important, just to have that little gap between phrases. And you can actually manually put them in with these keys up here. And they're loaded with lots and lots of squeaks and shifts. And they're arranged via velocity, both of them. The shorter, more subtle ones tend to be at the bottom, and the more aggressive ones and longer ones are at the top. Now these controls on the right-hand side, they are pretty self-explanatory. Volume level of the instrument, width, just narrows it. I keep it about there. Mic far and close. So this was recorded with 2 pairs of stereo mics, obviously close down this side and far. And again, nice blend would be good. Dynamic range, again, this is an upward compressor, kind of, but on a note level, it doesn't compress the actual sound. So it just pushes the low samples up. So if I turn this right down, let's just play a... If I turn that right up and do exactly the same thing on the keyboard, you can see it just brings up the really, really quiet, subtle notes. And this is great for, especially if you've got a busy mix. So I like to actually keep it about there. String attack, this is really good for pushing back the Ronroco in the mix. So again, full transient is the bottom. And if I go right about here, if I just play it as I do it, by the time you get there, it's chopped it all off. Okay, so let's now go on to the sequencer page. And as with soft acoustic guitar, if you've seen that, it's very similar. We have a fully customizable 4-bank sequencer up to 32 steps. And we can arrange things along the top, bars, 1 bar or 2 bars, time signature, and the units, the rates the sequencer goes at. You see it's arranged in beats, so we have color variations. So this is 4/4 quavers, so that's the first pair, second pair. And all I have to do to play the note, this sequence, is hold down the first of these blue sequence keys down here. Each one represents a different sequence bank. And we have a nice arpeggio pattern. Very easy to amend this to your liking. You could change them one note at a time. So if you'd like to introduce chords, and then you can use this articulation row really, and that's a forward strum, so it will go from the bottom to the top. Remember, we are now in pitch mode, so it will sound like, or we could go backwards. Drumming speed in a minute, but we could go forward and back. Now here, each of these volume knobs represents the velocity of each step in relation to the blue sequence keys. So obviously I can change all these and they will, humanize things up. You don't want everything exactly the same volume. If I play it harder, and you see, because I played the key harder, this was louder, even at full volume. If I play softly, it won't do it at full volume. So it's all relative. Okay, so I'll just show you the browser. So we can easily load up a preset. Say if I just pick 4/4 a chord one, just a bit of variation. So now I press the first key. And by the way, all the chords, just as in the perform section, we have a full range of chords to choose from. So I was going from a F to C there. And you could combine banks as well, by the way. So if I press the second, a slightly different pattern actually loaded in here. So I could go, I could go F on the first one if I want. And C on the second one, And yeah, lots of possibilities to put intros, outros on with these 4 banks. Now, if I want to make changes, so let's go back to the first bank. Say I just make a couple of changes and I want to save that as a new preset. All I do is I put the name in there and press save, and it will end up in the user presets directory. So I'll just go back to sequence bank 1, and what I can do is initialize the whole preset by clicking that, and it sets up a blank sequence that I can then put in anything I want. These open string switches, again, we could just and you can see that really opens up lovely possibilities there. So the advanced section deals with a lot of what was in the perform page. So the chord change, this is all about the changes between the chords. And we have squeak, sustain, or stop. And this is the sequencer release. Currently it's on squeaks, or I could have it to sustain. So it gives a nice tail ending. We have on beat. This is for when you're in the sequencer and you want to start on the next available beat. It's really good for lining things up, so you can turn that on in if you want when you're recording. And humanized steps. Now this is a great feature that you can just really introduce a little bit of humanization. See, if I turn it up, it's very... You hear it's very, very jaggedy. So just a little bit of that can really... So finally on this page, we have the record, MIDI and drag and drop functionality. Now this is absolutely great for taking some sequences, chord sequences. You could do multiple banks, any chord changes you want, record them, drag them into Logic in this case, but the DAW of your choice, and then make further alterations from there. So let's just have a go at that. So I've got this sequence loaded, we might as well use that. And I'm going to click record MIDI. I'll hold down the sequence key and maybe make a couple of chord changes. Drag into your DAW. And there we have a lovely MIDI pattern. Now you have to make sure you go back to perform because we're playing individual MIDI notes. It's all set up. So I hope you can see there's lots of endless possibility there for customizing your own sequences, which are so easy to generate in the first place. Finally, we have the effects page, which just gives a lovely bit of reverb, convolution. We've got presets, we've got a nice hall, and we've got more algorithmic, that's more flexible. Gustavo used his instrument really in a very ambient kind of way as well, very textural at times. So if you put delay on. So there we are. That's the walkthrough. I hope you agree the instrument offers a very authentic sound of a beautiful Ronroco, but at the same time offers a starting point for you to explore and use the Ronroco in different genres and avenues. And I know that's something Gustavo is very interested in, seeing what people do with the instrument. So thanks very much again. I hope you enjoyed it and see you soon. Cheers.